Okay, let's talk about explicit transactions in MySQL, and be aware that Oracle and SQL Server have something similar. So here's what we mean by explicit transactions. In your MySQL Workbench, if you go to the Query tab, you're going to see this option here to auto-commit transactions. And what that means is every time you do something, an insert, an update, a delete, whatever, it's immediately committed to the database. And once it's committed, there's no undo command. You have to manually reset it. And this can be a little bit problematic. Let's say you did an update to 30 items and you didn't actually mean to do that update to all those 30 objects in your database. Well, because you don't have an undo option, you got to go find every one of them and manually undo it. Or, if you were lucky and you still have your query that did it, you can hopefully do a select and update using that query. But the point is, you're manually doing this, you can't just hit an undo button. All right, that's with the auto-committing transactions. Now, if you turn that off, so my auto-commit transactions is now turned off, I now have the option to roll back or commit a transaction. So it means I can do something, but it doesn't actually take effect until that transaction is committed. So let's do this. Let's select asterisk from country capital where country code equals DWD. So this is the one I created just a second ago in a previous video, right? Now that I have that, I can delete that particular record. So I'm going to do delete from country capital where country code equals DWD and execute the query. And so that says it's deleted it. Now if I select it again, select asterisk from country capital, okay, I don't see it there. Now, if I decide that I made a mistake there, I actually didn't want to do that, I can roll back this transaction. And I've got two options here. I've got my query, which allows me to roll back my transaction here using the menu, or I can roll it back just using the command rollback. So let me actually open up another window here, and I'm going to roll back and execute. Now if I do my search again, select asterisk from country where, and you'll see that our data's back. All right, it's undone. I rolled back the transaction. Now if I were to commit that transaction, let me create a new one here. Actually, I don't even need a new one, but that's okay. We'll do it anyway. We're going to delete from country underscore capital where country code, had to think about that for a minute, equals DWD. All right, now I am going to execute the query. That should delete it. If I come back here and try to find it again, now I can't find it. So now I'm going to commit the transaction. And let me make sure I spell commit correctly. C-O-M, there we go, commit. And execute the transaction. Now that should be committed. So this time when I go to find it, sure enough, it's still not there. And that's because I've committed that transaction. Now I can't roll it back. In fact, if I try to roll back at this point, roll back, give me my data back, I want my country back. And then come back here and re-execute the query. I still can't find it because that transaction, that delete transaction, has now been committed to the database. And once it's committed, there's no rolling back. Okay, so that's how we work with explicit transactions. When we go to query, we turn off auto commit transactions, and then when we want, we can do whatever we want, and then once we're ready, we can either roll it back, which undoes all of our changes, or we can commit, which applies all of our changes. Now, if you don't need explicit transactions, if you want to just manually, or if you just want everything to take effect immediately, then you just come back to your query window, and recheck auto commit transactions. Now my commit and my rollback options are taken away, and now it's going to take effect immediately every time I run a query.